Alright, so in today's video, I'm gonna be going into probably the biggest news in the last few years, maybe in the last decade, I don't know. We're seeing amazing things happening in our current era. We had the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump, and we just survived a worldwide pandemic. We are probably at the doorstep of World War III or a big global conflict involving nuclear warfare. So everything that we thought about life in the last decades, in the last maybe 40, 50 years, this peaceful post-World War II era seems to be coming to an end. So now I don't engage into a lot of politics in this channel, and I won't, at least not yet. But what I want to cover here is this whole idea that behind this failed assassination attempt, there's what people are calling this quote-unquote divine intervention. People are saying that Donald Trump was saved by an angel or by God himself, and so on and so forth. So in this channel, I talk about altered states of consciousness and the evidence that we have about the afterlife and the angels or these beings or these entities. So I'm going to be bringing forward all the research that we have regarding these quote-unquote angels, at least the research that I've been going forward into and trying to answer the question, was this divine intervention and are these quote-unquote angels a real thing? Before I move forward, I would like to remind you that if you want to join the growing discussion on consciousness and would like to be notified on the latest scientific discoveries and theories surrounding this topic and how they connect to ancient mythologies and philosophies, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, as I'll try to upload at least one video per week as I continue with the outline. So for starters, I want to go into some of the articles just to see what the collective subconscious is about regarding this topic of this quote-unquote divine intervention. So we have this from CNN saying that an unusually reflected Trump suggests divine intervention in aftermath of rally shooting. So these are the images that are going forward. People saying everything is staged and so on and so forth. I don't think so. As I said, I'm not going to get involved into politics, but the whole idea is Trump has said that he is lucky to be alive after Saturday's rally. Quote unquote, it was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening, Trump wrote in a Truth Social post. We will fear not, but instead remain resilient in our faith and defiant in the face of wickedness. So you can see the religious undertones that this whole situation is trying to take. That sentiment is one of Trump. It's one Trump has truly internalized, according to some of those who have spoken to him in recent days, and one Trump who is not an especially religious or spiritual man. So, there is this idea that on the right side of the spectrum, on the Republican side of the spectrum, yes, there is more Christians going for that side, and even Trump and some other people on the right have addressed the Bible or God or the traditional Christianity. But President Trump, former President Trump, it's not really a spiritual man. It's not really pushing forward for Christianity or anything like that. If anything, he has a lot of a bit of a murky past, and he's this guy who is in your face. He's a little bit obnoxious. He's not a traditional traditional idea you would think of a Christian. So how was this divine intervention? Why would quote unquote God be on his side, which is what a lot of people are saying when they start putting this frame of religion to this whole thing that happened? By luck or by God, many people are saying it's by God, I'm still here. This is what Donald Trump said. The most ardent supporters and the evangelical community, what I said, a lot of these evangelical communities are on the right side of the spectrum in politics. A person close to Trump said the family is feeling spiritual in a way as they take stock of nearly losing their patriarch. 2 years ago today, we lost this incredible woman, Eric Trump wrote. I have no doubt she was watching down on my father last night. It was nothing short of divine intervention. So this idea of divine intervention being thrown around. When he talks about this woman, he talks about his mother, the former wife of Donald Trump, who passed away a couple of years ago in the same month when this happened. So there's that whole idea that she's looking from the heavens and she was helping the angels or whatnot. There's this whole idea. So what else do we have here? Alright, so there's this other article by Politico, which is a very prominent political blog, political outlet. Republicans embrace, quote-unquote, divine intervention for Trump's near miss into martyrdom. So straight away, the religious Sims, allies of the former president, are embracing the divine intervention, the hand of God, to help explain how Donald Trump survived a harrowing assassination attempt during his Saturday rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. His daughter Ivanka says she believed her late mother was watching over Trump during the assassination attempt. I'm gonna go back to this idea of the mother. Do we have family members who have died? Are they watching over us? Could this be true? Do we have any evidence of that? We actually do have something resembling that in altered states of consciousness. I'm going to go into it in just a second. So the grace of God, protective hands. So there's this whole idea. What I want to do, just putting forward these articles, is to focus on the idea that people are talking about God being supporting of Trump in some way, or the angels or something like that, and saving his life. This is out there in the collective subconscious mind. So Republicans lead in on their own religion, describing the incident as a miracle, divine intervention, so on and so forth. So why are they saying this? This is because, and I'm going to pull out the picture, the bullet, this is a famous picture that's going forward from Doug Mills on the New York Times. This is going all over the place. Basically, in the video, you can see that the bullet just grazed his right ear. And this was because 1 millisecond before this happened, Donald Trump was looking into the crowd. He was looking down. He had his head turned back. And then 1 millisecond before the first bullet went through, he turned to his right to look at a chart. And that's why the bullet grazed his ear. Otherwise, the back of his head wouldn't be there and he would be dead. And that's what he says. He himself thinks that this was God helping him, or some synchronicity, something strange happened which made him turn at the right moment, at the right time, and he's still alive. So you get all of these images of an angel just deviating the bullet somehow, or making Trump turn in the right spot. So there's this whole religious theme that is being attached to what happened. Now, another thing that I found interesting is this whole idea of angels watching. Internet sees divine signs in twisted flag before Trump's shooting. So there's this whole idea that this flag looked like some sort of an angel. If we play the clip right here, it's very interesting. The flag got jangled today at the Trump rally before Trump came on stage. Looks like an angel. So this happened. This was even before the actual event happened. You can see the light going, and it kind of looks like an angel and flying. This is very symbolic. Now, what people are saying, like, well, if you go to Ezekiel, if you go to the scriptures, this is not what angels look like, and I agree. If we go to altered states of consciousness, angels appear in many ways because we're talking about non-physical transcendental experiences. However, what is real and what seems to be real is that there are synchronicities and symbolism. Even when you go into occultism and magic, is a real thing. So could there be some symbolism behind what people started seeing? And the whole thing that happened looks like an eagle flying, and it looks like a prophecies and the angel. So there's this whole idea, this whole theme of divine and divinity and so on and so forth. So now, to finish up with the articles and go into the research, something that I want to point out is that regardless whether you're on the left or the right side of the spectrum, we have to acknowledge that there is incitements for violence, and it's mainly coming from one side. There's no point on debating this because there's violence in both sides, but there's one side of the spectrum that thinks it's okay to go on public forums and call for or incite violence. Leftist hate rules social media after Trump's assassination attempt. A lot of people are saying, oh, how can he miss? How did they miss? They should have gotten the shot right. Just calling and inciting this violence, which is absolutely abhorrent, and there's no place in our current civilized world for this. And now another thing that I want to point out, and this might get me into trouble, is that a lot of these people calling for violence are women, are college professors. This is a mock assassination and some sort of quote-unquote artistic thing that happened in 2017, 8 years ago, and this has been ongoing. I'm going to be talking about this in the future because this has to do with two basic universal laws that are very true, which is the law of gender and the law of polarity. What we see in politics with the left and the right is basically the law of gender being expressed into our politics. I'm going to be talking about this in the future. At the end of the day, none is right. It's a balance. I'll be talking about that in the future. So now, all right, so a little bit of a disclaimer that I want to make before I move forward with the actual science of what's going on in this quote-unquote divine intervention or angels, is that this is not to endorse any political party. People who have been following this channel, they've never heard me talk about politics or anything like that. If I do put forward politically, it's from a very centrist point of view. At the end of the day, I believe in singularity. I believe that the left and the right, they're both parts of the same thing. They're both parts of the game that we're playing. So both the victim, because one person died in this event, the victim and the shooter, they're both God. And they're both in a non-physical realm right now, probably shaking hands or laughing about everything that happened here, because this is what's happening in near-death experiences. They say whatever happened on Earth was just an experience, and the reality is different. This is the what the research is suggesting out the states of consciousness. So this is not to say that God was helping Trump or that the left is evil or anything like that. Although, and one thing that I'm gonna be talking about, and one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, is because what I am actually a little bit afraid of is the counter reaction from the right, because what I'm seeing is this sort of neo-Christian nationalism that is happening. And while there's a lot of positive in this, because at the core a lot of the Christian ideas have to do with morality, there's the danger, as always, that we're going to fall back into dogmatism again. So this is why I'm bringing the research of what actually is going on. It's not that God is with Trump, it's that there is something much more complex going on, and we have enough data, enough science to start thinking about these things, start talking about these things, and start understanding what we're talking about. We have research, we have science, we have cataloged all of this in the last 5, 10, 15, even 20 years back. We have enough evidence to figure this out, so we have no excuse to bring dogmatic religions like Islam or fundamental Christianity into the question anymore. We do not have to be ignorant anymore, because we have all of this science and all of this research available to us. And this is what I want to do in this video. Alright, so what science do we actually have regarding death experience and what people are saying behind what happens beyond death? What evidence do we have of these angels or of these beings or divine intervention, so on and so forth? I'm going to be linking everything in this video. I've talked about all of this research in previous videos on my channel, on the playlist Ongoing Research, which is also where this video is going to go into. Every single video in that playlist has published scientific research attached to it. So if anybody doesn't, and actually, don't believe me, go through the research yourself and make your own mind about all of this. I don't want you to believe me, just go through the research itself. But just to give a clarification, it's all right here. So this is recalled experience surrounding death more than hallucinations. This is the scientific consensus statement for the future research of near-death experiences, or NDEs, where they were trying to relabel as recalled death experiences experiences, because these are not near death. These are actual death experiences, because people were pronounced clinically dead, and that's when the clinically dead, and this is when they had these experiences. So the actual research is here in New York. It was published in the Annals of the New York Academy of Sciences. And this is spearheaded by Sam Parnia, which is the doctor. You Google Sam Parnia, watch some of his YouTube videos. He's been in morning shows, and he's been in the media, and he's been out there just talking about these near-death experiences. Basically, what's happening here is resuscitation science has enabled life to be restored to millions of people after their hearts had stopped. These survivors had described a unique set of recollections in relation to death that appear universal. So it's not that one person is hallucinating his own thing. It's not about his life. It is about their lives, but it's not about an individual. This is a universal thing that is happening in what they are calling, and this is why I have this highlighted, comprise hundreds of millions of people, hundreds of millions of reports. And then if you add the psychedelic reports and some of the spiritually transformative experiences and the non-reported reports, you have millions of stories which are universal. So there's something going on, and science is starting to look into it. So episodes involved heightened consciousness and awareness, a multidisciplinary team of national and international leaders led by Sam Parnia. So this is multiple people from multiple universities talking about this consensus statement for the scientific study of this, and it's peer-reviewed, first ever peer-reviewed scientific study. Okay, so what are the main things that are happening? So as I said, it's hundreds of millions of people involve a unique set of mental recollections with universal themes. So what are these themes? Another thing we have thrown the idea that all of these near-death experiences and these transcendental experiences, psychedelic breakthrough, they're not just hallucinations. That is an old argument from 2010. If you have not heard about near-death experiences, you have to Google it, you have to research it, because this is happening. This is a real thing. And as I said, we cannot afford to be ignorant of all of this, because we have nuclear war at our doorstep. So we cannot be ignorant about it anymore. So what's happening here is not hallucinations, illusions of psychedelic drug-induced experiences, although, as I said, these are some of the psychedelic drug-induced experiences are very similar to the near-death experience, and in this channel I have the chart-to-chart comparison in some of the other videos. I'm going to be linking everything below. So what happens is a separation from the body with a heightened, vast sense of consciousness and recognition of death. So people gain hyper-consciousness. They're no longer tethered to their bodies. They become non-physical consciousness, which understands they are dead. In many cases, they understand who they were, the person they were. In other cases, there is some sort of a disassociation where they say, I didn't remember I was this person, and I saw a body laying down, and I didn't recognize it was my body until later on when I remembered that I used to be that person. So there is a conscious, logical, rational sort of consciousness which is not tethered to a body. As I said, this is science. This is not just people making things up. This is science, and this is what's happening. B, travel to a destination. Sometimes there's a tunnel. One thing that is curious is that Tom Campbell, the NASA physicist who wrote My Big Theory of Everything, who says that we're living in some sort of virtual reality. Sometimes he uses the word simulation. I just talked about the simulation. I just made a video about it. It's not a simulation because we're not simulating anything. It's a virtual reality. He says that people see these things, and sometimes they see the angels as a way to represent just a change of the frameset of reality. So when people say they see a tunnel, they see a light, and so on and so forth, this is a way for them to express that they are transferring from one realm to another. And now something really interesting that I've read in the past is that in Asian from Asia, from China, from some places in Thailand and some other places. In near-death experiences, instead of people seeing a tunnel, what they see is a road. So they travel through a road, like a dirt road, and they are accompanied by these very specific beings, which I have not the name. I'm gonna be typing it when I edit this video. There's a specific, I made a video about it, I also tried to link it, a specific set of beings who accompany them through this road. So it's just a way for them to understand that there is the travel, there is the change of frame sets happening. So this is another of the items. A meaningful and purposeful review of life involving a critical analysis of all actions, intentions, and thoughts towards others, a perception of D being in a place that feels like home, and E a return back to life. So these are the things that are happening. So when they see this, this is what is called the life review. And now this ties into the Trump situation, into the divine intervention situation. So what people are reporting is that during their near-death experience, they have a live review, and in this live review, they usually talk about it in different ways. Some people see like a cinematic representation of the images of their lives. Some people see a 3D representation where they are in it from a different perspective. They have the perspective from themselves. They have the perspective from the other person, and they feel the feelings of the other person. Sometimes they are simply spectators looking at a scene. So there are always these beings with them, which is something that they don't point out here. There's usually the presence of a being. Sometimes they see the being. Sometimes people say it's Jesus. Sometimes they see there are beings of light. Sometimes they just feel the presence of other beings who are helping, who are guiding a little bit the experience. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is that there is this management of the life experiences. There is this 3D recreation of the life experiences. What this means is that everything in the life of a human being is being recorded. And these beings, or angels, or aliens, or whatever you want to call them, they have control of these scenes of a person's life. They have control of the very reality. So if these beings who are behind the whole machinery of the afterlife experience and probably the whole afterlife, could they be involved in the scenes, in the actual things that happen? If they are able to bring you back into your life review and have you feel the feelings of others, they go back in time to your life, to the scenes of your life. They relive the situations in their lives and they feel what the others felt. Do they have agency towards 3D life in time? Can they be involved in it somehow? This is where the idea of divine intervention happens. Alright, so this next research it says full neurological recovery from Escherichia coli meningitis associated with near-death experience. So this was in 2018, 6 years ago. This is about the case from Dr. Ivan Alexander, who had some sort of meningitis and it was very bad. He shouldn't be alive. And what happened to him? Dr. Ivan Alexander, he has his book called Proof of the Afterlife, Proof of Heaven, something of that nature. I'm going to link it somewhere on the screen and put a picture in it of it. Dr. Ivan Alexander's near-death experience is one of the most prominent and most popular near-death experiences because there's a lot of things to prove his story. There's a lot of little aspects and details about his story, information that he didn't know when he was alive, and when he met these beings on the other side, they told him about. And one of the things that they told him about as well was that he was gonna be fully healed. And this happens a lot in their experiences where people are told and there are different ways to represent this, or where this happens, where they are in a lake And these realities that they experience, these quote unquote heavens, and I made a video on how people can create their own heavens, and how science is proving that this is a real thing, and the altered states of consciousness. People in the report say that these heavens respond to thought, so they think about it and they can move through thought, they can fly, they can be there, they can be in one place and then be in another, and everything is glowing with light or energy or something of that nature. And we have science suggesting that this is totally possible under the laws of nature, the laws of quantum physics specifically. And now, so in a lot of the experiences, people go through a lake or through a fountain where they say they were healed, or there was this being who was moving energy around them and then they were healed, or they are literally told by the entities, you are gonna be healed. And they come back from their near-death experience and they are fully and miraculously healed. This is where the quote-unquote miracles happen. And now one that I'm thinking about, that I'll see if I can find it, is where the entities or the beings or the aliens or the angels, whatever you want to call them, they tell to this specific person, you have the choice. It is your choice whether life has a purpose, and they tell them you need to go back and fulfill your purpose, but it is your choice at the end of the day. You can stay here in this place of what people say is the best thing that ever happened to them, is the nirvana. It's an incredible experience. There's love all over the place and energy and euphoria, and it's the best thing ever in this quote unquote heaven. Or you have to go back to your body and deal with your life and deal with your choices and so on and so forth. So these beings tell them, this is what's going to happen in this specific NDE. If this person had some sort of terminal disease, and they told them, if you go back, all your lab results are going to be positive, and your family is going to react this way, and you're going to see this. Or if you decide to stay, what's going to happen is the lab results are going to be negative, and your family is going to react in this way. And what experiencers say sometimes is that I saw both realities, and I was given the choice. What this means, if this is true, of course, this is more anecdotal because there's no way to prove this, although we have the way to prove the universal things. We have no way to prove the actual individual specific stories. But if this is true, what it would mean is that these angels, these aliens, whatever you want to call them, they have the agency to change things in the material world. They have the agency to go through time and to alter things in the material physical reality based on a number of things. So a lot of people are told this in their near-death experiences, and it's no longer, as I said, it's no longer just here talk, it's no longer just anecdotal. We have research that is suggesting this. So in the specific one about even Alexander's presumed bacterial meningitis, but switched to traction once cultures return as, so these are technical terms that I really don't understand. It's about the specific meningitis that he had. During his 8-day hospitalization, his mental status fluctuated from confused to non-responsive, with GCS scores between 6 and 11. These are, I believe, these are scores of consciousness. Even Alexander talks about it in his interviews. Although E. coli meningitis has a high rate of neurological complications and death, this patient recovered completely without any deficits. This should not happen. When people have this sort of illness, this should not happen. Recovered completely without any deficits and recalled an elaborate near-death experience that occurred during his coma. So this is the National Library of Medicine, National Center for Biotechnology information. This case highlights the importance of studying near-death experiences occurring during compromised brain function to further our understanding of the brain and consciousness. This is suggesting that this elaborate importance of studying this elaborate near-death experience And how could the outcome be related to this elaborate near-death experience? So this is current science in the last 5 or 10 years, which is suggesting basically what we're looking at right now is the supernatural factors of reality. It's not only about physicality. There are supernatural, very evident factors that are occurring right now and that people need to be aware of. Alright, so who exactly are these entities that, or beings, or angels, or whatever we want to call them, who tell these experiences about their recoveries or the choices in their lives? So we've had this newer research on psychedelics and entheogens. Entheogens are these plants which get you on an altered state of consciousness. This was illegal for a long time, and some countries are starting to allow this research coming again because they have found that the consumption of these substances can have positive effects in mental health. So scientists are now testing medical DMT on human subjects. Dr. Machinov, we'll see you now. I made this some time ago. I made a video about this. So what are they looking at? They're looking at freaky looking machinals. When people go into the psychedelic breakthrough, they see all sorts of beings in different framesets or realities. So what's happening here? In other words, the study findings are in line with what Strassman's, which is one of the pioneers on the psychedelic research, believe that since the entity contact occurs relatively entity contact, so we're talking about this contact with entities just as it happens in near-death experiences and these recall-death experiences and so on and so forth, but it happens through entheogens. When compared to more common psychedelics like LSD or psilocybin, so it happens more often in DMT than it happens in some others like LSD or psilocybin. It could offer a unique beneficial feature to patients who believe the beings, the quote beings, and this is like a very open blog, very open article. Just talking straight away about the beings. We don't really understand them. We have no idea what these things are. They're angels and aliens. Are they real? Are they fictional parts of our mind? But we are seeing the potential benefits. So the ontological shock is huge in here, and we don't really know how to deal with this, but this is research. They believe the beings are helping them. It may even be especially powerful when an individual takes these entities and couples them with their own personal spiritual frameworks. For example, if you're Catholic, you might believe these beings are angels sent by God to help you, or Buddhists might believe that they are part of the enlightenment experience, the beings in a safe and effective way. So people deal with the beings in a safe and effective way. So if you think they're angels protecting Trump, maybe this is what they are. It depends on your spiritual framework. These things they seem to be real, but they're something much more different than we think they are. The entities are also on small pharma's radar as well. Rulesh told Futurism, which is where this article is on, that the phenomena is likely beneficial not just for the treatment of depression, but also other internalizing disorders. So basically, they're saying that it might be beneficial for your mental health if you take a trip into a different dimension and meet interdimensional entities. Maybe that will give you some meaning of life, or the idea that there is some form of transcendence or something else going on. It becomes ridiculous to think we're living in such a secular materialist society that we're looking at these ontological shocking developments as something as simple as, oh yeah, mental benefits of entheogens, you know. So they're talking about this research right here, and this is the one that I'm gonna link below. Journal of Psychopharmacology survey of entity encounter experiences. So this is 2020, only 4 years before making this video. In 4 years, people are barely catching up with the research of Carl Gustav Jung, the psychologist who determined the archetypes and all of these things, and the idea of the collective subconscious. A lot of people don't even know who Carl Jung is, and this was 50 years ago. This has been out for only 4 years. People don't know this is a real thing. People do not know that this exists. But now we have the internet. We have everybody could know about this. We have no excuse to be ignorant anymore. This is out there. So what are we talking about? Autonomous entities. This is research, as I said. This is not like a random blogger. No, this is research. Autonomous entities. People use the labels, descriptive labels for the entities as being, guide, spirit, alien, and helper. The most prominent emotions related to these beings are love, kindness, and joy. They are conscious, intelligent, and benevolent, existed in some real but different dimension of reality. This is scientific research. More than half of those who identified as atheists before the experience no longer identified as atheists afterwards. So I made this video called the research that turned atheists into believers. And I don't mean believers in God, in Christianity, in the angels as they think, in some sort of a Christian narrative. I'm talking about believers in some transcendental reality that we are barely beginning to understand. So now this conclusion, I didn't highlight it, but I think it's important. And then the methyltryptamine, this is DMT, occasioned entity encounter experiences have many similarities to non-drug entity encounter experiences. So what I'm talking about here, the Death Experiences from Sam Parnia and these different universities who were working on this, and this National Library of Medicine talking about these other experiences, which is the Near-Death Experience, but there's also the spiritually transformative experiences. Now they're talking about all of these different non-drug entity encounter experiences, such as those described in religious, like the visions, or if you go through any religion, Christianity, Islam, Manichaeanism later on. A lot of people don't even know about Manichaeanism. That's one of the things about nature. If a few things had gone different in history, everybody, the whole world would be Manichaean instead of Christian. But what happened in all of these religions, and I'm going to be talking about it, and I've been writing about it, is that people met a quote-unquote angel. And this angel of light told them the truth about reality, that we are beings trapped in these flesh, quote-unquote, prisons. We are actually light beings. That this is what's happening. And this is something that is in the apocryphal scriptures. It's all over the place. It happens in alien abduction. The aliens tell people, you are a conscious being, you are consciousness which creates realities. And near-death contexts, aspects of the experience and its interpretation produce profound and enduring ontological changes in their worldview. So this is not about Christianity, this is not about the angels, this is about something beyond that. So as I said, all of this research is going to be linked below, and the last piece of research that I want to highlight here is one that I made a long time ago. This is 2021 in Explore. So this is from Dean Radin and his colleagues talking about this is a series of experiments, and there's like 5 pieces of research attached to this. It was a series of healings where they did a bunch of experiments surrounding these healings to prove that this healing intention or this quote-unquote energy healing is a real thing. Now I'm going to try to link everything below. This is a thing, I made a video about this, about quote-unquote energy healing, but this specific one I found interesting for this video, a case study of extended human capacity perception during energy medicine treatments using mixed methods analysis. So in these healings, what they did a lot of things. They were recording quantum noise, and they were measuring the molecules in water vials used by the healers and the healees, and water which was positioned in the rooms where the healings were taking place. And they realized there was a shift in the molecules of water. They realized there was a shift in the quantum noise generator. And another thing that they realized is that they brought these seers, people who are sort of like mediums, or sort of like people who are more who can see beyond the veil of reality, to say, in a way. What they saw is that there were space and other beings referring to the qualities of the physical space the energy medicine session occurred in, and ostensible non-physical beings present during the session. So, what are they talking about here? So during the healing sessions, there were non-physical beings present. What the hell are they talking about? They're talking about these quote-unquote angels or beings or so on and so forth. We cannot see them, but they seem to be everywhere around. Who are they? Are they aliens? Are they angels? Are they DMT beings? They are the same thing. Alright, so to close up this video, we do have all of this research suggesting that there are beings, there are entities, there are aliens, there are something who are looking into the world. There seems to be the fact that in these Recall-Death Experiences guidelines, they recall all of these things that are finding universal in all of Near-Death Experiences, saying that every single one of them, most of them, have a meaningful and purposeful review of their life. And when you hear these near-death experiences and when they talk about all of these things, what happens is that they, as I said, they relive the experience. They feel what the others felt. They recreate everything. And some people see these scenes in bubbles floating around them. Some people are in a movie theater and they see it as some sort of an experience. Some people go into a 3D realm and they relive the whole experience again. Now, another thing that I want to bring forward is some of the writings of Robert Monroe, because this is also tied to the other altered states of consciousness. One of them is the out-of-body experience, which happens also in the experiences. Basically, people go into this heightened consciousness that they're talking about here. Where is it? With heightened, vast sense of consciousness and recognition of that. So people feel how they go outside of their bodies and they become something else. So Bob Monroe, he wrote his books, and he founded the Monroe Institute, and now this is where the whole government agency report, intelligence report, which explains that reality is a hologram and it's plain in view. It's fully available to the public now. Since they revealed all of these documents, they're saying literally that reality is a hologram, and when we go outside the physical reality, we can meet up with entities, and everything is explained there. So Robert Monroe talked about his experiences, and I don't remember in which book specifically. He met this entity, which he used these acronyms to represent or to explain all of his experiences. And I cannot remember the exact acronym, but it has something to do with intelligent being or more advanced being. And he asks this being, are you a god? Are you an angel? Are you an alien? What are you? And there's not a specific answer, but at the end of the books, it all leads to the possibility, to the idea that this being is Robert Monroe himself. It's all of his life experiences put together. So these angels are something much more complex that we could even imagine, it seems. They're not these religion Christian beings who come and save the Republican president. It's way more complex than that. There's something more going on. So whoever they are, these beings, they seem to have the ability to control physical reality and to create these multiverses or these simulations or whatever you may want to call it. I talked about this in my previous videos. Reality seems to be some sort of simulation, some sort of virtual reality. This is what quantum physics is telling us. There's research about this. I have it all cataloged in this channel. When you also read alien abductions and so on and so forth, there is this very specific one that I remember where this person was in the woods, and then suddenly he meets these beings which are not grays and are not humanoids and are more like insectoid beings, like mantis beings. But there are multiple people talking about these sorts of beings, and of course they are eminent, that some people get scared of them, but at the same time they say they're not frightening, they're not ugly, they're just different. And these beings, in this specific story, this being, I think this used to be someone in the military, something of that nature, and this being touched this person, and this person went outside his body, and he saw the world from a different perspective, and he traveled in time, and he relived some parts of their lives, and so on and so forth. So these stories repeat on and on and on in altered states of consciousness, and the theme repeats over and over, which is that these beings have an interest, a specific interest in the life on Earth. And it's a purposeful and meaningful life reviews. We're doing something. There's something happening here. And people go through the past, go through the future. Even Tom Campbell says this, that you can go through the past and you can see the past and you can relive the past in a way. You cannot change a lot of things, but you can have these experiences. Even in the books of Robert Monroe, he says that he would live and just recreate some experiences like dreams, where he had to make choices and he was living the lives of others in a way. A lot of people have this experience, and then they go to past lives and reincarnations and so on and so forth. People are talking about these things now. I'm not pulling out any research because these are anecdotal altered states of consciousness. These are reports that people are talking about. I read many of them. I've gone through the research in a lot of them. So I'm just putting everything together right here. This is what people are saying. So we have the science, we have the data saying that there are these beings out there, and then we have the anecdotal evidence suggesting that these beings, number one, have an interest on the events of Earth. There is a purpose for life, which is why people are having life reviews. They can manipulate material reality, which is why if we make the argument that there was this quote-unquote divine intervention, in a way it could have happened because they have some sort of control. Alright, so just to wrap up this video, which has gone way longer than I wanted to, but I knew it was going to be a long video because we have to talk about this. I'm going to do a quick summary. I'm going to talk a little bit further into a couple of things, offer some other options, offer the large picture, and just put up some final thoughts. So basically, what I talked about in this video is that given Trump's assassination attempt, people are looking at this event as some sort of divine intervention, some sort of angel trying to help Trump, or even the idea that God, quote unquote God, is on the side of Trump. Now, while I believe that it's good that people are coming back into the morality of Christianity, because Christianity did bring morality, and I can make the argument that in the final scheme of things, in the end reality, and I can say this just looking at life reviews. When people go through the life reviews, they don't see their achievements in life. They don't see all these things that people, the materialism that we currently live in, look as valuable. What people see is their relationships with others, how they treated other people, how they reacted to how other people treated them, and they are not judged by a God. They are not sent to hell. There are hellish near-death experiences, but that's a whole nother topic, and I talked about this in this channel. Just look through my videos, you will find it. But the main thing is how they reacted to others, and people judge themselves. They feel what others felt, and they think, I should have done something better, I could have done things differently. And it's just some sort of a learning experience. So going back into morality, I'm going to be making a case for morality in the future. It's a good thing, but what's not a good thing is falling back into dogmatism. So this video is just to wake people up. And even you don't believe me, I lost a lot of people along the way. Don't believe me, go through the research, learn, think about it. We have no excuse to be ignorant anymore, whether you're an atheist on the left or you're a fundamental Christian on the right. We have no excuse to remain ignorant of these things anymore. And what is happening is much more complex than we think. Yes, there is divine intervention, there is these unseen powers that affect the material world, but it's not the religion, the dogmatic religion that Christians think of. It's much more complex, and we have the evidence for this. So I looked at Near-Death Experiences, the research on Near-Death Experiences. I did not mention this, but there's also the NDERF by Jeffrey Long, which is the largest survey of near-death experiences, and it's become research. And he has a book. I'm gonna put a picture of it on the screen right now when I edit this. That is a great source of information. I looked into psychedelics, I looked into some other research related to the quote-unquote medical miracles and how science is looking into all of this. Now, going more into the literature and into the philosophy of these things, there's something called past life regressions, where people go into trance and they see their past lives, because of course in these near-death experiences reincarnation becomes a real thing. People see their past lives and so on and so forth. And what people say, and there's this idea that we have soul groups. People reincarnate into the earth through soul groups. So people who were brothers in one life, in the next life they're gonna be married, or they're gonna be father and son, or so on and so forth. They're gonna be friends or neighbors, or so on and so forth. There's this idea. Now, there's no way to confirm this, but there's this whole idea. So when perhaps the family of Donald Trump, the sons, they say like, oh, my mother was watching over him. That's a possibility. When people go into the near-death experience, they see a lot of beings around them, and they say the same thing. As I said, as the research says, it's a universal theme. People know that these souls around them, they know them. They have known them forever. They go to a place which resembles, quote-unquote, home. This is in the research. So these souls, which are part of the soul group, most likely are these angels, probably, and they are part of themselves. It's not like in the writings of Robert Monroe and so on and so forth, when people go into the near-death experience, they achieve this heightened consciousness. They become part of what we are calling, or we believe to be as, quote-unquote, God. It's a much more complex thing. It's not like, oh, my uncle is just relaxing in the clouds. The uncle no longer exists. We are more than our individual egos that we experience here on Earth. So there's all that literature that people can go through and make their own minds. But as I said, what we can prove right now is these basic things, that there are entities which are contacting us. It is likely, and if you go through the research, which I also have in this channel, on quantum physics and how reality is made, and how we might be in a simulation, and how two realities exist at the same time, and how consciousness affects reality. When we look at it, we realize that the material world is much more flexible than the current laws of physics would have us believe. So when all of these consciousness, or souls, or soul groups, or whatever you may call it, work together, and if you have someone like Donald Trump who believes this ties a little bit into what people know as the law of attraction. When he believes that he has something to do in this world, perhaps synchronicities are gonna happen, where when someone is gonna attempt to take his life, the things in the material world are gonna conspire to keep him safe. People in this literature, in past life regressions, say that your life is already made. People in near-death experiences, they see futures. They say that they can choose a specific future, but all of these things are already written. It ties into the whole idea of multiverses. Everything has already happened, but we choose which reality we want to experience based on, and now there's multiple theories, based on what the soul needs, based on what will help us reach heaven, based on what we want to experience for fun, or based on what the archons, the entities, the angels, the aliens want us to experience. I don't know. This is what I'm doing in this channel. I'm putting all the information together. So the whole thing is convoluted. it is complex, but we have enough science and enough data to start talking about these things. So was Donald Trump, is Donald Trump being alive a factor of divine intervention or angels? Yeah, probably, but it's not in the way that the fundamental Christians believe it is. And now the existence of aliens or simulations or all of these crazy scientific things that sometimes we talk about, these crazy esoteric things we talk about, does this mean there is no God? No. In fact, it proves the existence of something larger, something much more complex, of a higher intelligence that came up with all of these simulations and virtual realities and all these beings and all these abilities to go outside the body and experience the cosmos in a more complex way. It's highly convoluted. I'm gonna be talking about all of these things in this channel. Thank you for making it so far. I don't think a lot of people made it, but if you made it, kudos to you. You really want to know what's going on. Thank you for watching, and maybe I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. If you find any value in the content that I'm putting forward, please consider supporting the project through Patreon on the links below. Likewise, you can like, share, subscribe, comment, or follow me on other social media so more people have access to this information. Thank you so much for watching, and maybe I'll see you in the next one.